welcome. I'm Harry Singer, CEO of Singer Instrument Company. I'm here today to do a real quick demonstration of our new serial filler Agar plate pouring device. I think I'm just going to jump straight in and show you exactly how you would use it in the lab. Are we good to go, Jack? Awesome. I've got the fantastic Jack down here editing away, and I've got Carl on the camera. So I would normally arrive at this machine with some empty plates to pour, and what I do is press let's pour. It tells me exactly what to do, so it's telling me to open the door, telling me to install a fresh recently autoclaved agar tube. So open this door, install tube through the aperture as the instructions say, and I would normally be doing this wearing lab gloves. So I say yes, step-by-step instructions, clip the nozzle into the holder. Sorry if I'm obstructing this. Here's the holder, clip the nozzle into there, magnetic, very easy. Next stage, clip it into the J-clip. There's a little J-clip at the back. Put the tube around that J-clip. Next step, clip it into the C-clip, down in the bottom right hand corner, down here. Next step, load an empty waste tray. This is what the waste tray looks like. Load it into here. Please close the door. I can do that. Open the pump housing. It's already open. Here is the peristaltic pump. Install the tube into the pump, close the pump housing. It's just a standard. Oh, I haven't installed it correctly. Clip it into there, close the housing. I've done that. Clip the tube into the sensor. This sensor senses bubbles, should there be any. And prepare a flask filled with agar. So the tube comes out. Here is my pre-prepared agar flask. I'm going to admit at this stage it's not real agar. It's filled with tea for demonstration purposes, but it makes no difference. So I've done that. It says let's pour. Again, I have access to a few settings. For example, because it's tea and not agar, I'm just going to ignore that bubble sensor. Otherwise, we're good to go. I press the tick. Now, it's asking me to load any type of plates into the serial filler. I've got a couple of stacks of SBS format plates over here. Load them up against the support stands. Make sure they're back against the stands. The stacks are nice and straight. I say yes, I've done that. It asks me to close the door. And now it's doing something called preparing the tube for setup. ... Recalibrating the nozzle at the top to make sure it's centered. It's bringing the elevator down to the bottom in preparation for priming the tube full of agar, and I can do that automatically or I can do that manually. I'm just going to do it manually for now. You can see agar is priming the length of the tube and coming out in the drip tray. So I'm happy that the tube has been primed. I'm going to press this tick button. Now it's automatically detecting the type of plates that are in there. Now remember, this device is compatible with all major formats of plates. SBS format, like the ones that are in there right now, it's compatible with 90mm Petri dishes, square plates like this one, even 150mm round Petri like this one. So if we get back to the cereal filler, it's pouring the plates here, and I've noticed that the volume isn't quite enough to coat the bottom of these relatively aquaphobic new plates. So I'm going to adjust the volume on the fly by going to the interface, hitting the volume button and increasing the volume from 20 to, let's try 35 millilitres. I'm going to store that as a preset so I can recall it later. Press tick. Let's see how it behaves with 35 millilitres in the plate. It's now going to remember that settings and save it as the default setting for the next time I run this machine using SBS plates. There we go, it's coating the bottom of the plates now. So this device was designed from the ground up, and its unique selling points are really that it's relatively small. You can see that it's very easy to use. It guides you through using step-by-step instructions at every stage of the way. It's versatile, so you've seen the different formats of plates it's compatible with, and it's designed for easily pouring very flat, consistent volume, bubble-free plates. It's sterile. There's 2 fans pumping air into the system. At the moment I've got them turned off for sound, but as it runs a cooling cycle at the end of this filling cycle, you should hear them come on. The fans pull in air over 2 big HEPA filters, and you can choose to have those on, as I said, the whole time, creating positive pressure inside this environment. There's also a UV sterilization lamp that on the inside at the top, and you can choose to turn that on at the end of the day for 20 minutes or at the end of the week, as you like. So it's still pouring these SBS plates. The internal capacity of this machine, it's large enough to accept 50 SBS format plates. I'm going to admit it's not the highest throughput device in the world. If you have to pour thousands of plates a day, this may not be the device for you. But if you value versatility and you value really well poured flat agar, this is the machine. Now the reason we can pour plates of incredibly high quality and really flat is because once it's poured each plate, it doesn't disturb it. It leaves the agar to solidify horizontally. When you install the machine, there are some spirit levels in the base of each of these plate stacks, and you can tweak the machine so it's dead horizontal. But you'll notice that it doesn't disturb these bottom plates once it's poured the plates above it. And that means the agar doesn't slosh about and you get really flat plates. So it's finished that pouring cycle. It's recognized that there are no more plates to pour, and it's done that automatically. So I haven't had to tell it how many plates are in there. It's asking me to clear the agar tube because we don't want the agar to solidify within the tube. And we could have set that to happen automatically, but for demonstration purposes I wanted it to be manual. I can opt to drive that agar into the drip tray. I can also opt to drive it back into the flask. So I'm going to clear the tube manually, back into the flask. Once I've done that, I press the tick. Now you would have heard, or you may have heard, the HEPA filters turn on right now. I've got it set to run a cooling cycle at the end of the filling cycle. If you do value really flat plates, then you're going to want to leave them in there to cool. So again, those two big fans at the back are drawing air in through those HEPA filters to bring that internal temperature to the ambient temperature and cool those plates down just a little bit faster. We experimented with cooling the air before bringing it in there to solidify the agar even faster, but that exacerbates any condensation effects. We also experimented with heating the air before drawing it into the cabinet. That just means the solidification of the agar takes ages. So we think it's optimum to be drawing in ambient air for solidification times and to optimize to reduce the amount of condensation that appears on the lids of the plates in there. So that would normally run through a solidification time now, and you can set that time to be 5 minutes if you want, or 20 minutes is the default solidification time. I'm going to accelerate that and just press done. At the end of the cycle, it gives me this nice little summary. It tells me how many plates were poured. If I had that bubble sensor turned on, it would warn me if any of those plates might have a bubble in them or might not be poured to an accurate volume, which is really useful. And once I'm happy with that summary, I press the arrow. Do I want to repeat the filling cycle right now? No, thank you. Tells me to open the door, carefully remove my plates, remove the agar tube, and it will show me how to do that again in a step-by-step fashion. So you can see that it's really easy to use. It pours dead flat agar. It's versatile. It pours agar into a variety of different plates. Square format, SBS, 90mm round, 150mm round. Singer Instruments agar plate pouring device called the serial filler. Are there any questions?
How many SBS plates can it pour in one go, and how long does that take?
How many SBS plates can it pour in one go, and how long does that take? The cycle time depends on the volume that you're filling into the SBS plates. We just poured 10 plates, and I think it took 7 minutes, and that was at 35 millilitres. So 20 plates would take approximately 15 minutes. The capacity, sorry, yeah, that's right. The capacity, oh, there are 20 plates in there. Sorry, excuse me. It poured 20 plates. There's 2 stacks of 10 there. It poured those in about 7 minutes. So it would pour 40 plates in about 14 minutes. The capacity is 50 SBS plates, about 50 90mm Petri dishes, and a few less of these slightly deeper 150mm Petri dishes. You'd want to fill these with more agar, so the pouring time for a whole stack of these would be slightly longer. Any other questions?
That's all we've got.
How do you prepare your agar? You prepare it as you would do normally. We've got the agar sitting here on a hot plate, but conversely you could have it in a hot bath.
Maybe one more from George.
One more question from George.
Are we allowed to ask how much the machine costs?
Are we allowed to ask how much this machine costs? It's surprisingly cheap. Do inquire. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I've been Harry Singer. This is the Serial Filler. Thank you very much.